Hi everyone. So a few days ago, I watched the Stanford versus South Carolina women's college basketball game. It came on Tuesday, December 21st, 2021 of this week. It is now, what day is it? Oh, I should know what day it is. Today is Thursday. So the game came on 2 days ago. And that was a heck of a good game. I did enjoy that game because that was a tight game. Like it was just neck and neck. Stanford was socking into it. Stanford was socking into it with South Carolina. They was making South Carolina even work harder for the win. I was rooting for South Carolina to win, and I was actually nervous for them because I'm gonna admit Stanford is a great team, and even though I was rooting for South Carolina, at the same time I was still nervous for them. And by the way they were playing Tuesday, against South Carolina, it gave me a reason to be nervous because they was whooping their butt like I would say first, second quarter. I say in the first quarter they were getting them bad. The second quarter they were beating them, and then maybe South Carolina started catching up. But anyway, South Carolina ended up winning. That was just a lucky night for them. Because to be honest, I'm glad they won, but at the same time, they could have lost that game because Stanford was just ready for them. Stanford had them, like, hey, we know y'all game plans. We know how y'all score in the basket. We gonna do what we can. And Stanford was getting at them. I was like, oh goodness. So the score was 61-65. Stanford has 61, and South Carolina has 65. Now there were a lot of notes that I wrote down. Especially with South Carolina. Stanford had, I wrote down some notes for Stanford as well. But there were a lot of things going on with South Carolina, and I talked about, why Stanford was beating them so bad in the beginning. Like, as the coach, I would have thought, like, Don Staley would have recognized how Stanford was getting the ball from South Carolina because this is how they was beating them. This is what I saw from my own eyes, and I thought the coach would have caught on to that. I don't know what's going on in Don Staley's mind, throughout the game. But Stanford was beating them, in the paint because they're getting them where they like to score the points. Like for instance, if the point guard had the ball, it could be Henderson, that's the point guard with the ball. And then say she passing to the middle, so they're trying to pass it to maybe Aaliyah Boston, who may be doing the center position. They may try to pass it to. There was another player that was doing the middle position, and then she wasn't doing so well. I felt like she wasn't strong in the beginning, because as they was getting them in the middle, they kept taking the ball from them, and then this was Stanford, kept taking the ball from them in the middle, because that's where they like to score their points. So it looks like South Carolina has a habit of trying to give it to that center person, and then they score. It could be Aaliyah Boston. It can be, what's the other player? I think I wrote down her name. Mir. Either because I know with a Mir, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right, Letitia Mir. I know she was playing center for a little bit, throughout the game most of the time, and she wasn't like strong. She wasn't that strong. What Stanford was doing, they were like double teaming her or triple teaming. They kept taking the ball from her, and then they take it back to the other side, and then they do like a backcourt play, not backcourt, but like a back cut play, and then they score the points. They kept taking it from her like maybe 3 times. I would say around that. I don't know if it's 4, but I'll say a few times. They were giving it to her in the beginning, then they trapped her. They kept doing it, so they saw where, their strongest point was, so it's like, okay, they're going in the middle, so we're going to try to stop them in the middle. That's what they was doing, but Amir wasn't like strong enough to try to get that ball in the basket. I saw that problem. And then with the backcourt plays that Stanford was doing, the person they was giving the ball to was this player, Bellini. I wrote her last name down. When they did the backcourt plays, they gave it to, I think she had like braids and wore glasses or something, tall girl. But I know her last name is Bellini. So I'm looking, I'm like, well, could the coach see where they stopping them at and how they getting the ball? So to me, in this case, South Carolina, should have tried to just shoot on the outside, because I think if they realized that they were getting them from the middle and taking the ball, they should have been like, okay, we need to just shoot jumpers from the outside. We need to try to shoot threes. And I think if they would have did that in the beginning, they would have been, up there in points with Stanford, even though they beat Stanford. But Stanford could have beat them that Tuesday. I'm glad they won. They caught up after a while. But I think they would have been up there with Stanford like in the first quarter if they would have just realized what was going on and how Stanford was stealing the ball from them. I saw that right in the beginning. So I don't know what was going on in the coach's mind, because if I'm the coach and I see that they're getting them from the middle like a few times, they're triple, I would have just told the team, okay, try to shoot the jumpers, try to shoot the threes. We have to play them from the outside because they're getting us from the paint. So they was doing that so many times, I just was like, okay, but I don't know. I don't want to put it 100% on the coach. I don't know what the coach, tells them when they have the timeouts. But I would think the players realize what's going on. But, I'm just saying, when you playing, it's different. But when you're on the side watching, and then when you're at home watching, like you guys and myself, we see, what the errors are. We see what the mistakes are with the teams. So I, not blaming the coach, but I would have thought somebody would have realized, like, that even the assistant coaches, they would say, okay, I see what's going on here. But anyways, I'm going to talk about some stuff I wrote down from watching the game. So we have one of the top players on the team. We have Haley Jones, that's a junior on Stanford. She still has like another year with Stanford. So I know she's going to the WNBA. I would say like in another 2 years or whatever, another year, because she'll be a senior next year. But she's a junior right now. Aaliyah Boston, she's a junior as well. Aaliyah Boston's on South Carolina. Haley Jones on Stanford. But anyways, Aaliyah Boston, she's already playing like she's ready for the WNBA. But the WNBA's rules are so much different than the NBA rules, because I know the NBA rules, they could recruit them out of high school if they that good, like they did with Kobe Bryant, I think with LeBron James too, or any other players they think is good. The WNBA, they don't work like that. They want them to be a certain age to be in the WNBA, maybe 22 years old. Is the age that they want them to start being in the WNBA. But the NBA is so much different. Like, it just look like they'll take them if they in middle school. They taking them out of high school. They don't care. They'll take them if they 15. But most likely they take them when they're like maybe just getting out of high school, I would say. But the WNBA rules is different, because the girls, they have to go through that college phase. They have to play college ball. They have to go through the 4 years of college. And then after that, when they're a certain age, like 22, then they could join the WNBA. Or even, I don't even think they have to be 22 necessarily. I believe that I would think I know they have to do 4 years of college for the women. I know that. Maybe 4 years after their senior year, then they go for the WNBA. But I believe it's an age limit to start being in the WNBA. I find that hard to believe, because I know it could be some young girls like Paige Beckers, who's at the age, she's probably like 19. Some girls that are sophomores right now, second year of college, 19. Then you have, when they get a junior, they're like 20, senior year 21. So I would say at least after their senior year of college, maybe, senior year. 4 years through college, and then you go for the WNBA draft. We can say that. So, anyway, South Carolina. I wrote down some notes. I said that the team shoots more in the paint, which was how Stanford got them because they saw how where they like to shoot. So Stanford was like, oh, they like to shoot here. We're gonna triple team them. We're gonna double team them. That's why they was taking the ball from them. And they started off with good defense in the beginning of the game. They started off being aggressive. And the team shoots more in the paint, like I mentioned. They love shooting in the paint. And one of the things they didn't do with Stanford, there is a player who is Lexi Hall. I know she has a twin sister like the Hall twins. But to me, Lexi Hall plays better than her sister. That's just what I see on the court. I know she played better than her sister because I watched them so many times when they did a few games. I saw Lexi Hall scores more points than her sister. She'll shoot threes. She just seems like she's a better player than her sister. So Lexi Hall needed to be stopped. I don't know why they wasn't stopping her because that girl, that Lexi Hall, I'm gonna admit, like I know Stanford's a good team, and I'm rooting for South Carolina to win, but Lexi Hall is a damn good player. She can shoot. She can play some ball. Lexi Hall needed to be stopped. They should have been triple teaming on her because she was scoring most of the points with Stanford. To me, I think she scored the highest points on the team, just about. She should have been triple teamed, double teamed on. And like I mentioned, Stanford was getting South Carolina from the middle center. And they was crowding around the center person like Aaliyah or maybe and not maybe but Amir, a Letitia Amir. I know they took the ball from them like a few times. So in that case, with South Carolina, it should have forced them to shoot more on the outside because it was getting them in the inside. But on the outside, that's where they should have been trying to make their points. I wouldn't say try to make a three, but at least try to like get a jumper in. And I would say like towards the third quarter, Stanford still had them. South Carolina was struggling. Stanford made South Carolina struggle. And I know in the beginning of the game, Aaliyah Boston, she scores like the first bucket in the game. So she started out with the team with the first points, like started out with 2 points, when they first started. Then she scored another bucket. So she played an okay game yesterday. And then, oh my gosh, Henderson. She is like the star of the game. She is one heck of a good player. They need to talk about her more because she can play. She's a very good player. And I know she was out a while, like maybe, I don't know how long she was out because she was injured. So she wasn't playing on the court for a bit. Maybe 2-3 weeks, but she came back. She's back playing now on the court, and she played that game. Luckily, she played that night because I don't know how South Carolina would have turned out if Henderson didn't play that day. I just wonder if Henderson didn't play, if South Carolina really would have won because Henderson was really keeping them up in the game. Like, honestly, I know Aaliyah Boston's a good player, but I felt that Henderson was keeping them up in the game. It was Henderson. It was another player. I think I wrote her name down. Bree Bill. She was keeping them up in the game. And then there was another player, Littleton. I don't know if she's one of the starting five. Maybe she's one of the players that comes off the bench on and off. Littleton. She kept them in the game too. So, they played a good game. They were the ones that kept them in the game. So, actually, basically, Destiny Henderson is back from injury. She shot like a lot of jumpers. And as far as Henderson, she has tremendous energy. Like, she's very quick on the court. I thought I mentioned it a while back, or maybe somebody else. But I know Henderson. Maybe I did mention another video about Henderson and another girl, Zaya Cook. But I know Henderson is like very quick on the court. So there was a mistake that she made on the court that I saw. A mistake she made on the court when it was around like 30 or 35 seconds. And it could have been, I can't remember which quarter it was. Like the quarter was ending. It wasn't, the game wasn't ending, but maybe the quarter was ending. It could have been third quarter ending. I can't remember. But it's like 30, 35 seconds. She wasn't slowing down the ball. She should have just ran the clock down. Like passed the ball to the team. They should have just ran the clock down. But instead, she shoots it and miss. Now when it's like 30, 35 seconds, you want to at least run the clock down. You don't want to rush and shoot it. You want to at least throw the ball around. Like throw it around in a circle, pass it. You want to run the clock down. And then the score ended up being, maybe it was halftime, 60-61. At the time, South Carolina had 61. That's when they caught up. And then Stanford had 60. So that's not the final score. That could have been like halftime or the third quarter. So one of my favorite parts of the game was when Henderson kept, stealing the ball from him. Because she did a lot of steals. Like, she really showed out that game. And who else I want to talk about? There's another player. Her name is Zia Cook. I know there was another video when I talked about South Carolina and I mentioned how Zia Cook is a good player. Zia Cook didn't play so well that day. I don't think that was her day. She came in, but it seemed like her game was off. So she didn't really show what she can do that night. It was like mostly Breeville, it was Henderson, it was Littleton. Letitia Maher played good. It was just that she wasn't like that strong in the center position in the beginning, but she got better towards the end of the second quarter. I don't know if she needed to get her confidence up, but she got better like the end of the second quarter. She stepped it up then. So she was okay. What's the girl name? Aaliyah Boston played good as usual. So those were the players that, did what they needed to do. Like Bree Bill. I wrote down that she attacked the basket in the middle, scores a point, plus a foul. She was playing tough. Another favorite of mine is when Bree Bill shoots a 3-point shot in the lead and she makes it a lead by 1 point, which I was happy because, like I mentioned, she was one of the people that got the team caught up. It was basically her, Henderson, and Littleton, I would say. But it ended up being 49-50. So, she got the team caught up by 1 point, headed the game by 1 point. And I was very hyped. I was happy because I was just nervous for South Carolina. I was like, oh, y'all need to continue being undefeated because they're still undefeated right now. They are undefeated. Like I mentioned, Littleton, she comes off the bench playing good. She shot a 3-point shot. Henderson shoots a 3. Like I said, they got the team caught up. And I talked about Amir already. And that is about it with South Carolina. Now I want to talk about Stanford. Now Haley Jones, she's a great player with Stanford. The thing about Haley Jones, she knows how to get the ball in the basket. No matter how many people guard her, she can have maybe 3-4 people on her. She still knows how to find a way to get the ball in the bucket. And Stanford has a lot of good outside shooters. They have, these are the ones I've seen that were like some good outside shooters. Lexi Hall, of course. She's one of my favorites on Stanford. Prepto. And yeah, those were the two that were like some good outside shooters. Lexi scores a 3 because she knows how to shoot threes. With them, they had good defense. They had a good game plan by double or triple teaming on South Carolina in the center. That was a game plan. They setting up plays. They knew how to create rebounds for themselves. So they had a lot of rebounds for that game. So many rebounds, which was good. And one of my favorite parts of the game with Stanford were the back cut plays. I did enjoy the back cut plays because I know they were getting South Carolina with that. And then a player named Bellini kept scoring because, you know, like you have your center player and then you sneak in, go to the basket, then you throw it to them and they shoot it. That's like a back cut play. They did a few of those. So I just understand why South Carolina didn't catch on to that. You see they doing backup plays. You got to look at that because they was getting them on them. They was getting them on them back cuts so many times. Now I wanted to discuss about rank on Stanford. Now this is the fourth quarter, and I thought, you know, even though I was rooting for South Carolina, I thought Stanford was gonna like get them within those seconds. Now the mistake Brink made was because, you know, they end up having the ball. It could have been like, I'm guessing like 10 seconds left in the game, and they were like kind of close up on them. Maybe like 2 points. They were like 2 points behind them a bit. They could have had, let me see what their score was. Because the final score was 61-65. So maybe at the time it was, I'm guessing it was 60. Could have been 60 or 61. It could have kept their same score, which was their final score. And it was like maybe 10 seconds in the game. 10 or 8 seconds in the game. Stanford gets the ball. So the mistake, you know, Brink made was when they had the ball, you know, they did the right thing by passing it. They didn't rush and shoot it. But when Brink got the ball, and you know, she's a tall girl, she didn't run up to the basket to try to do a layup. The smartest thing to do is try to go up to the basket, try to do a layup and get fouled. She didn't do that. Instead, she shoots a jumper and miss. So I'm like, because I thought she was going to go to the basket and try to shoot a jumper, but she didn't. Instead, she shoots it and didn't miss it. So I'm like, why did she do that? She should have, and they would, I guarantee you, if she did that, she probably would have got like some free throws. They would have kind of been caught up a bit, but she didn't do that. So maybe South Carolina was a point ahead of them when that happened. I don't know, but they were close in points. So that was a mistake Brink made. But overall, that was a great game. I did enjoy watching that game because I was looking forward to watching it, and I actually enjoyed it. It was close. South Carolina, they really have to go at it. They have to really work hard. And I know, like I was watching Don Staley, you know, she was coaching. It looked like, I don't know if she was getting mad because it looked like she'd be hyped on the side. But anyway, Stanford has 61, South Carolina has 65. And that is all I want to talk about. There may be some games this weekend, maybe, but keep watching women's college basketball and have a good day.